Holder! The Space Wolves, the Vlka Fenryka, the Sons of Russ. Ginger madmen who will absolutely wreck your day. Love them. I played them in 40k for many years. Not so much anymore, because my list is kind of a bit in a weird place with the new codex. Whatever. I like baby blue. And if I'm going to do a Space Wolf Heresy army, I'm doing it baby blue. It's just a scheme I like. Ever since that first codex, it speaks to me, that color scheme. However, Heresy players tend not to like it, and that's cool. So what I'm going to be you is a scheme that I think works for Heresy to give you a grey, well, yeah, Space Wolf. It's maybe a little bit lighter than I think many people will go for, but this is an army that you could do lots of different schemes for in many different ways, and it's one that I'm probably going to revisit in the future to do my baby blue and to do something maybe a bit darker. I still got Leman Russ sitting in a box since I bought him on release day. One day I'll get round to him. But in the meantime, here's how I would recommend doing Space Wolves for Horus Heresy. So our Space Wolf here is in Mark III armor, and he is armed with a plasma pistol and a lightning claw. Now, I've primed him in black. I should have really gone with grey, but I don't know what it is. Space Wolves, I've always primed them black. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take some deep grey by the Army Painter. I absolutely flipping love this Fanatics range of paint. I'm telling you now, they make some amazing paint. And if it wasn't for the fact that basically my entire paint racking, most of my paint racking system is for Citadel, I would be converting more colours to this. I'm using a lot of their colours. I've got about 50 odd colours in there that I'm using now of these instead of Citadel. I still get some Citadel paint still, mostly from the collection Combat Patrol, like ones that I still get. But yeah, no, for a lot of the paints, like a lot of basic colours, like your Mechanica Standard Grey, your matte blacks. I'm pretty much army painter all the way these days. So yeah, what we'll do is we're going to, as I said, thin this deep grey down on your wet palette or whatever palette you're using with a little bit of water, and just put on 2 thin coats of this stuff here. Although to be fair, this Fanatic stuff is absolutely just jam-packed with pigment, and it can cover really well in one coat, but try to not do the whole one thick coat thing, because that's just daft. So we're going to go. So what I'll do is I'll go away, get this finished, and then I'll come back and I'll do the next step with you. Now the next stage for our Space Wolf, now that we've established the deep grey on there, is we're going to actually put another grey on top. We're going to use some Dawnstone. And the reason why we don't put Dawnstone on straight away is that Dawnstone's a little bit too transparent. And I think, and by having the grey on top, the grey underneath, really helps establish the colour. Again, thin this down, 2 thin coats, and all that, the stuff that make Duncan famous, and just get a layer of here on there. Of course, there are different ways of doing Space Wolves, and maybe we'll look at them someday, but for now, here's a scheme that I would do for Heresy. Well, I tell a lie. If I were doing Heresy Space Wars, they'd be baby blue, because I like baby blue. And Alan Bly said the last time I saw him, yeah, Space Wars in baby blue are fine. So, yeah. But I like the baby blue. That's just me. A bit weird, but that's just me. But if you prefer grey, go with this. If you prefer something darker, cool. That's cool. Maybe we'll look at those two schemes one day. Yeah, but as I said, just get the Dawnstone all over there. And once we're done with that, we'll be coming back and we're doing a bit of shading. Now that the Dawnstone, I should say, is all on there, what we're going to do now is take some Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to just do some washes. And what we're going to do is just get this all into all the little nooks and crannies and recesses, and all the little sort of where the armor panels meet, and all your little, what's the word, rivets and such, to help sort of define that armor really nicely. Now, if you do make any mistakes, just go back and tidy up with some Dawnstone. Now, I do know some people that would say, if you're just being a lazy painter, just cover the whole thing in Agrax Earthshade and then go back and fix it. Well, that is a valid technique. It's not something that I'm choosing to use here, because I think that actually you're going to get better results if you do the work and you sort of go around and doing this work. So let's do that, and then we'll come back in a little bit when I've got this all done and the whole thing is defined for you. Now that we've got that all shaded up, we're going to take some Administratum grey and we're just going to highlight up the armor. So just get this around all the sharpest lines where the armor panels meet, and we're just going to get a nice old highlight. You probably want to do it more fine than me, but I've got very, very, very poor control of my hands, so mine is going to look absolutely dreadful compared to most people's. But I tell you what though, from the distance of a tabletop, it looks pretty good. So if you can't paint like a pro, let's face it, not many of us can. Paint so that when it's on the tabletop, it looks alright. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around. You do, as I said, I'll repeat many times. You want to add a little water to this and sort of thin it down, so it runs nice and smoothly. I highly recommend a wet palette. I personally use the Redgrass Miniatures Everlasting palette. I got it on Kickstarter. It's actually pretty good, but I know the Army Painter do one, which is also very good. This is one thing where I think Games Workshop really need to sort of get their act into gear. But do you know what? You can make a reasonable one for home use out of an old takeaway container, the plastic ones that is. I don't know if everyone does the plastic ones. My parents don't seem to have the plastic ones where they live in East Anglia. And a bit of kitchen roll and some baking paper, baking parchment. And that works pretty well. And I was using that for 3 or 4 years before I finally upgraded to this one. And I don't use it as much as I should, but it does make some paint schemes a lot easier. My Tau, for example, who use the traditional Tau Sept armor. Anyway, I'm going to go and finish this highlighting, and then I'll come back and that will be the armor done. Right, now that we've highlighted the grey, and it looks alright. My highlighting, not the best, chunky in places, but we're going to use some Spartan bronze from Two Thin Coats. Get the right thing. Which is basically Balthazar gold. And we're going to paint our armor trim. So this is going to be these little bits here. Like this around the armor. If you do make a mistake, just tidy up with your Dawnstone. I do make mistakes all the time. Not the steadiest of hands. And so we're just going to get this all on here. And especially on the shoulder pads. So we'll go away, we'll get this get this finished, and then we'll come back and give it a wash. So next up, we're going to return back to our Agrax Earthshade, and we're just going to start washing this Spartan bronze or Balthazar gold, whatever paint you've used. I think Army Painter has a similar colour. Oh, I've just gotten a bit of the bronze on there. I'm going to have to tidy that up with some Dawnstone. Silly me. And we're just going to give that a little wash down. That helps give it some definition, and just helps, dull it down a little bit as well, and makes it look, there. So what I'll do is I'll finish this and we'll come back up and then we'll be highlighting up this bronze. Now that's all dry, what we're going to do is going to take some Sycorax bronze and we're going to highlight up the bronze there, especially on your shoulder pads, and just sort of give it a nice highlight just to get it all looking nice and shiny there on the edges. Sycorax bronze is a really nice colour for this. I need another pot, in fact. Mine's starting to run a bit low. While we are on this, what we're going to do now is we're going to also put the silver down. So any areas that you need to be silver. So in this case, I'm going to do the lightning claws. Now, I've done in the past lightning claws that were like glowing pink, but I don't think I want to try it this time. Just because this particular claw is a little bit... I have to dig out my Space Wolf Terminators. So I did it on there, and I think it looks really great. And there's me to being terrible and using paint straight from the pot before thinning it. Just like I'm telling you guys not to do. But, you know, I'm terrible like that. Yeah, so just go around, get all your metal bits done. Get your gun. Maybe not the end, I'm going to do that a slightly different colour. And these little bits here at the back, like this, get those done in the and the bits of the ribbing. I like to do them in silver. So what we're going to do is we're going to go away, finish doing this, and then we're going to do the highlights on the bronze, and then we're going to come back and get this washed, this silver. Right, easy step next. We're going to take some Nuln oil and we're going to wash those silver areas. Now, I also put some Runelord brass on the end of this plasma pistol. I think just the silver end of a plasma pistol looks quite cool, but that's just me. So let's get some Nuln oil. And so we're just going to get it on your silver areas, like your lightning claws here. Into your silver, get to the back here, and what we'll do is we'll also put some Agrax Earthshade. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put some Reikland Fleshshade because we've got plenty of it to use on the Runelord brass, just to have it a little bit something different. And then we'll be back in once this is dry. We'll get that all highlighted up, and then we're going to actually, while we're doing this, I was just thinking we'll do the next step next. But no, actually, we've got time. As you can dry, and I'm doing nothing near it. I'm going to start prepping in for a squad marking. So, pack marking, not a squad. What am I? An Ultramarines player? Actually, yes, I am an Ultramarines player. So we're going to take some Khorne Red, and we're just going to colour in this entire shoulder pad. Once that's dry, we'll be putting some Agrax Earthshade in the recess just to re-establish this. And what this does is it just you know, I like in the original Heresy painting video for the Space Wars, they did this pack marking, and I think it's really simple, really easy, and I'm going to reproduce that because it's just so simple. But obviously for each pack you want to be doing something slightly different for each pack, really, so that they can be identified to each other through their markings, whether that be through some simple painting shapes like this, or maybe even a transfer. Anyway, right, there we go. I'm also gonna pop some storm. Oh, there we go. I forgot where my flipping thing was. Idiot, aren't I? Right, so it's Khorne Red on there. Establish that. I'm gonna put some Stormhost silver on here to prepare that for a transfer. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you how to do transfers, because my way of doing transfers is probably quite terrible. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take some... Oh no, I wanted Reikland Fleshshade for this, not Agrax Earthshade. All over the place. Okay, yeah. And I've spotted a bit where I forgot to do some Nuln oil. So there we go, there's some Reikland Fleshshade. All in there, just to sort of give that a different kind of shade, and then a little bit of Nuln oil on these wires on top of the top of the lightning claw. Just sort of shade them down. So we're back in a few minutes and we'll highlight some stuff up and we'll start prepping for a few more things. Okay, figured out why I was messing up there a bit too much in terms of my placement, and it was because I moved the camera. Because I'm a silly Billy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to highlight this gun. And I'm just like thinking maybe we should do a casing on this, because I'm going to actually, no, you know what, this will work. Well, we'll see. So we need to highlight the silver with Stormhost silver. I'm also going to paint these plasma foils. Because I'm going to use a contrast paint on those to sort of, well, do the plasma foil effect, because it's a bit cheaty and it works and I love it. Okay, so get those highlighted. And then once these are done, we can go and, so this is just, I'm just sort of doing a bit, there we go. It's looking a bit better there. So thin down your paints. Not that I've been doing it the entirety of this video. Okay, I'm just gonna put that down there. And then we're going to use a paint here. Of course, we're going to use a paint. I'm just trying to think of the word. What the paint's name? I want Canoptek alloy to highlight the barrel of your plasma gun. So lovely colour, which is completely not mixed. So I'm going to go mix this, and I'll be back in a second. Sorry about that. Should have got the paint ready before I started recording. But Canoptek alloy, Liberator gold, and all that, they seem to separate as soon as you look at them. So just sort of use that to just highlight the barrel there. I don't know what other people do for their plasma, but I like to give it this sort of like goldy sort of look. But I normally use Balthazar gold, but again, see, I've moved the camera, so my muscle memory is telling me to put it there. I've used a lot of gold. Anyway, that silver's dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Frostheart. I mean, you could use something like, say, Storm Fiend, Talasar Blue, depending on what you want to do. And Spacewalk Red. We're going to take some Frostheart, and we're going to pop this on this here to give that kind of blue plasma glow. I think you could put white down instead of silver, but I like silver. I think it looks good. I think that gives you a nice effect. Right, what we're going to do now, as you can see, I've started planning out the base. Don't know whether it's going to work or not, but we'll try it. Again, make sure the model is on together. I'm going to take some matte black, Army Painter matte black. We'll do pack marking. I'm going to thin this down with a bit of water. Should have put this on the dry wet palette, but instead I put it on the normal silicone palette. Right. What I'll start with, and this is the exact same pattern they did on the original Warhammer TV. I'm going to start with a rough line down the center, and we're making this upside down triangle. I like to do each side and fill it in. I've used this scheme on my 40k Space Walls, not necessarily with these colours, but yeah, this idea. And now we're going to do the other side. And yeah, it's not going to be the best, because I'm not very good at freehand. I tell you what though, I keep looking at some of these pens, like the marker type pens that you can get like in painter pens. I've seen some Sharpies that do that, and I think they would be great for freehand and stuff like this. So yeah, not the best, but it does the trick, I think. And again, it passes the tabletop test. That is basically the model done. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do skin. There's lots of people who do that. Maybe I'll do it one day. I don't know. I'm just gonna go away, finish this paint, get him based, get him transferred on, and we'll come back and look at the finished product. And here is our finished product. Skin was simple. It's Bugman's flesh, Reikland Fleshshade, some Cadian flesh, and some Kislev flesh highlights. Simple. The hair is Jokera orange, Agrax Earthshade, and then some dry brushes of I think it is Fire Dragon Bright, then Troll Scale Orange, or it might have been the other way around. Base was Agrellan Badlands, painted Khorne White, and then washed with Frostheart, the contrast paint, and then dry brush white, and then I just put some Valhalla Blizzard on top. I like this scheme. I think it's pretty good, it's pretty simple, and I think it's easy to replicate. It is a little lighter than I think most Heresy Space Wolf players would like, but you know what, as I said, this is an army, and every Heresy army is one where you don't have to stick to a particular style, do the style that you like. And yeah, so that's I like it. So anyway, if you have some Space Wolf armies and you would like to show them off, I would love to see them. So drop some links in the comments there. If you've got any other schemes that you think are brilliant, I want to see them because I want to learn. And again, drop a link in the comment. If you've liked this video, you want to see more, like and subscribe, hit that bell, all the usual YouTuber things. Thank you for joining me on this video. It's been a longer one than normal. And keep rolling the dice, and I'll see you next time.